crystals while I talk about forming healthy habits as well as a little bit about replacing bad habits. And I'll be giving you some examples for healthy habits and healthy habit progressions that you can implement into your own routine. I'll be talking about the ways that I create lasting habits in my life and how these habits can grow into even more healthy habits to start creating a better life. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below before you leave. And let's go ahead and get right into this video. I'm going to be wire wrapping this little selenite cube for my future mother-in-law. And then I'm going to be wire wrapping this mushroom for myself. And I've never wire wrapped a mushroom before, so we're going to see how that goes. I'm not sure what crystal this is. The girl at the crystal shop also wasn't sure because they're just like a little bowl of mixed mushrooms. I'm going to give it a go. Like I said, I didn't look up any instructions on how to like specifically wire wrap these. I just kind of looked at a picture and we're gonna try to replicate it. So I'm still very new at this. Just think it's pretty fun to do and I wanted to record it while I talk to you guys about forming healthy habits. We're gonna start with selenite. And as far as habits go, I'm going to start with the anatomy of a habit. So the anatomy of a good habit is prompt, action, and celebration. And this is the best way to make your habits actually stick. So prompt is going to be something that you already do, something that's already part of your routine that will trigger you to perform the habit. Your action is going to be performing the habit itself, and celebration is going to be some form of reward or little celebration to reinforce the habit into your life. So obviously things that you already enjoy are going to be easier to make into a habit. You'll be more likely to do something that you enjoy because the action in itself is almost a little bit of a reward. And you'll also be more likely to do a habit if the ability to do the habit is low. So that means it is easy to do. So the best habit recipe is to pick something that you already do that's part of your routine, and then pick a habit that could be easily paired with that activity. So that way when you perform the action, you are prompted to perform the habit as well. And then the last part of successfully forming your habit would be the celebration aspect, which could be anything. It could be giving yourself a silent word of encouragement, maybe even giving yourself a thumbs up in the mirror, or absolutely anything that makes you feel really good about the thing you just did. Because remember, when we enjoy things and they feel good, we'll be more likely to keep doing them in the future. So for example, instead of starting a habit of running a mile every day, start by running in place for 10 seconds every time you put on your running shoes, and then gradually add on to that habit. And eventually you will get to where you want to be, where you're doing a habit of running a mile every day, and it won't feel like as much effort since you're starting from a progression instead of going straight from not running at all to running a mile every day. I was almost done with this one, and then I messed up on the bail. So we're gonna set this guy here and I'm gonna come back to it because I'm kind of tired of working on that one right now. We're gonna try to do this little mushroom guy. See where this goes. I think I'm gonna use black. Comment down below if you would use black or silver. I just want to see what you guys think. It's gonna be too late for you guys to vote or anything, but another thing to think about when you're creating your habits is the ability chain. And this is something that's talked about in the book Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. I'm going to be talking about that book a little bit later. But the ability to change is basically time, money, and mental effort, physical effort, and routine. If the habit is low in ability in these areas, it'll be considerably easier to make a habit than something that is really high in one of those areas. So when you're choosing your habit, kind of think about the ability that you have to complete the habit, regardless of your level of motivation, because motivation's only temporary. You're not always going to be motivated for something. So to create a lasting habit, you actually have to find things that stick and can become a part of your genuine routine. And my favorite way to decide which habits to implement is to brainstorm my habits. So I'll pick a main goal, something that I would like to achieve, and then I will go ahead and I will brainstorm all the ways that I could potentially achieve this. And then I'll go ahead and decide which ones are going to be easiest to achieve by their level of ability. And whichever one seems like it'll be the best fit into my routine, then I will go ahead and decide a prompt for that habit so that I can begin to start performing that habit when I do that particular action. And then of course, celebration, that part is really important too. But I think it's really good to start getting it on paper and just kind of brain dump all your habit ideas out. That might help you achieve a goal, and this can really help you see all your ideas out in front of you and help you really decide and be sure that you're choosing the best one. And another key to creating small habits first is if you feel like you can do more, do more. And if you don't, just stick with the basics. That way it consistently stays a habit. You're still doing a version of your habit, just something that's a little bit easier. It kind of helps it stay consistent in your routine. So some examples of healthy habit progressions you could implement, this one's done, are if you want to start going to the gym every day, you can go ahead and start setting out your workout clothes the night before, and then when you feel like progressing, you could go ahead and start by putting on your workout clothes. And then finally, you can start actually doing a workout in the morning, and these little progressions will help you gradually lean into your habit to help it become more consistent in your life. If you want to start going for a walk, you could go ahead and go for a walk before or after lunch. And then you could also maybe branch into a habit of drinking a glass of water after your walk. So that way you could have a little habit growth situation. If you want to start meditating, maybe you just start with breath work and take a couple of breaths every morning after you wake up, and just really be focused and conscious during those breaths. Maybe think about releasing anything that no longer serves you. So another thing I wanted to talk about briefly is breaking bad habits. And the best thing to think about when coming to breaking bad habits is to think about replacing them instead of breaking them, because it is nearly impossible to just break a habit. It is a much easier process if you replace the action with something else to connect to the prompt that normally would cue you to do the bad habit. So if every time you get home from school or work, the first thing you do is go and grab an unhealthy snack, you could just make a habit of having healthy snacks prepped to grab instead of keeping the unhealthy snacks readily available. So another thing to do to help you break a bad habit is to remove any prompts that prompt you to do the bad habit. So make sure to take note of which things really are prompting you to perform this behavior, so that way you can understand which things you might need to eliminate or minimize to help phase this habit out of your life. And like I said before, replacing truly is key to creating lasting habits. So just make sure that you find a healthier version of the habit to replace the unhealthy one. Another helpful way to kind of help you break those unhealthy habits is to use that ability chain to your advantage: time, money, physical effort, mental effort, and routine. So you would break one of those in the chain. So you might increase the amount of money it takes, increase the amount of effort it takes mentally or physically. You could make it take longer so that you may not have as much time for the habit. Sorry guys, my angle was really weird, so I changed it a little bit. Or you can change the routine that the habit is connected to. So you can change the routine that contains the prompt for the habit. You could also just start like slowly phasing out the habit by decreasing the duration that you do the habit. So if you want to stop scrolling on social media for too long, you might scroll for less time than you normally would, and then put your phone on airplane mode or turn off the Wi-Fi. And you can also use the same brainstorming technique to find replacements for your bad habits as well. Another tip is to talk about your habits, or the habits you're trying to break. Talk about breaking them, because that way you're kind of held accountable. Once somebody else knows, you're not the only one holding yourself accountable for your actions. There is that kind of element of not wanting to let people down, if that's something that might motivate you. For even more information on forming healthy habits, you can always check online. There's plenty of videos on YouTube, plenty of articles on the internet. And as for books, one I would recommend would be Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. A lot of the things that I talked about today are talked about in this book in much more detail, so I would highly recommend checking this book out. It really made an impact in my life and how I view forming habits. I've heard that another book that's really good is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I haven't read that one personally, so I can't speak on it for myself, but I have heard from a lot of sources that it is a really good read for creating and maintaining good habits. And always remember, the start to a healthy life is healthy habits. Don't get discouraged if your actions are staying small for a long time, or if you fail to complete the habit at all. Just try to stay as consistent as possible. Keep feeling good about your successes. We can change more when we feel good about ourselves, and we're not beating ourselves up about not being able to do what we wanted to do or complete our habits. Before we go, I did want to share some of my habits for June. I am going to start tracking my time to figure out exactly where my time is going and see how I might be able to manage that better, because something I would like to get better at is time management. I would like to really get the most out of my time and really be intentional with it. So right now I am writing down what I've done for the day every hour, just to kind of see where my time is going. And I think I'm going to do this like every week this month or every 2 weeks, just to kind of make sure I'm still being intentional with my time and not just mindlessly scrolling or going through my actions without a purpose. And then the next thing I am going to start doing is starting my mornings with yoga and breath work. It is starting to get nice and warm, so I'm going to start going outside in the mornings and get a little bit of outside time while also getting some morning movement in to get my day started. And then also focusing on my breath work during and after yoga to kind of help focus and center me, get me present and ready for the day ahead. This is something that I had made a habit and I was doing really consistently, but I've kind of fallen away from that practice, I've been taking less time for myself, so this habit will really help me get back into that and remind myself to start each morning with self-care. And the best tip I found to sticking to a yoga practice is to just intuitively feel what your body needs. If you're needing a slower practice that day, kind of feel into that and lean into that. And if you're feeling something more energizing, go ahead and find a flow that works for that. I just find that listening to your body helps you stay consistent and keeps it really enjoyable and grounding. Alrighty guys, that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have good luck forming good, healthy habits. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!